Great. And we are live, I believe. I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming everybody can see us. Obviously, my name is Kyle. I'm Clean Energy Marketing as my business. I run this group, Solar Growth Hacks, and one of the things that I like to do is I like to interview people that are either in the solar industry or in the marketing industry that have some insights that can help other solar professionals, and that's why I've invited Matt here. Me and Matt have honestly never talked until like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But his reputation precedes him in that I know he has a really great reputation. A lot of people have seen great things, and I've seen him like commenting and engaging in all these different groups that I'm in. So, Matt, thank you so much for joining me. Do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I got my first start in solar in 2007 with Tyler Tucker. I'm sure a lot of people know who Tyler Tucker is. I was a horrible salesperson. We got our leads from door knocking, and that lasted for about 9 months. And then I went to community college, got my degree, and went to University of Central Florida. And then I was really passionate about golf. I got a sales job at the Golf Channel, one of my dream jobs, and I was just on the corporate hamster wheel. Didn't like that, and then I started seeing Bill's ads marketed to me. So I got a business partner to invest in that, and kind of just got obsessed with digital marketing and kind of had layers of education on top of that. And I'm here now, so I'm not going anywhere.
Very cool. So
yeah.
What is your, I believe, because you're in Florida and your degree what was your degree in?
It was in marketing, actually.
Okay, marketing. Awesome. So yeah. You're not too far away. So like people, because I think on your website something says something about like not public relations. I don't remember, but my background is actually in fitness and exercise. So it's completely different. Where I went to school and I got all this information, and then I realized I was like, I don't really want to help people stretch for the rest of my life. I got to find something that I can see a little bit more upside in, and that's where I started realizing that my background in Facebook ads, or not using Facebook ads to help my fitness business, is kind of where I discovered online marketing, and I just fell in love with it instantly. So yeah. Let's get to the real stuff, the meat and potatoes. The reason people are here, they want to see hear the insights of someone who's obviously had success in the marketing world and is doing marketing right now for solar companies, big and small. Mm-hmm. If you were talking to a solar pro about who's looking into online lead generation, online marketing, what would be the most important thing that you think you would want them to learn and understand?
I think like automation is key. A lot of these reps, they got a lot going on. They're driving, hopefully to appointments now. I know a lot is on Zoom and Google Hangouts, but yeah, I mean, if you're doing your own lead gen, I mean, there's a lot of companies or a lot of people right now that are unemployed. So, there's always someone looking for a job. And, you and I know that, digital marketing now is the hottest niche there is right now, because me and you can travel kind of anywhere we want as long as we have Wi-Fi and computer. It really frees up our schedules. So maybe just reaching out to someone to do the marketing for them, pay them a little bit, maybe do a little revenue share. But I know a lot of the reps, they get a little overwhelmed with learning all the tactics. So just a cold reach out to maybe someone that lost their job, maybe in a VA, and then have them do the marketing for you, because it's just a lot to handle to do the sales and the marketing. It's really a full-time job. So I'd probably say that's probably the best strategy right now, especially with the pandemic.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think most of the people, it's like the same thing when people ask me like, oh, why don't you, if you're so good at getting leads, why don't you sell solar? And I think because when you're venturing into something that you're not as efficient at, it's going to take a lot more of your time, and in the end, you're not going to be as good as someone who is the master of that. So I think having people in place that everyone knows what their job is, I think that's obviously how we get the best results possible. I'm not saying that people shouldn't do solar ads on their own. I'm just saying it's going to take a lot of time to learn and to understand the whole online world if you've never been there before. So one of the things that I loved about your website is you mentioned, and you have a section there that talks about helping solar companies and like about how to use social media as far as posting organic content, how to make sure that, or to how important it is for solar companies to get reviews and use those to help you get referrals. And I think that's important because it's never talked about in a lot of marketing circles, and especially solar, mainly because solar marketing seems to be so direct response related, where everyone's looking to, I put this ad, how much money did I make from this ad? And you can't really track that with the other stuff. But can you tell me a little bit about, as far as what do you think solar professionals can currently do to make better use of social media, even if they don't have money for ads?
Personal brands, I mean, the people I'm talking about that kind of blew up in the groups. So creating like a personal brand that they can kind of trust, Bill, the gentleman from Leave Solar, to really maybe create their own Instagram account or Facebook page with their face on it, have little selfie videos, going on the roof, or have some live testimonials, because I think solar does work, but a lot of people don't understand it, and they obviously with the comments that we see on our ads, a lot of people think it's a scam. So just to create that personal brand maybe and do that way. But other than that, I mean, reviews are huge. Going on Google, getting as many reviews as you can. I mean, ethical ones as well, because the next thing they're going to do if they hear you on the phone and you mention the solar company, they're going to type it in Google and they're going to see how many reviews you have. I mean, if you have 5, I don't think there's really a lot of trust there. But if you have 50, your closing percentages are going to be pretty high. So I would say create a personal brand, create your own separate page, do a lot of selfie videos, create a lot of testimonials. It's probably the best way to get that report. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I think the reviews are huge for like one of the reasons is SEO purposes. I mean, like everyone talks about search engine optimization, like it's this big old mystery secret formula. And honestly, the marketers talk about that because they're trying to keep it. They want people to think that they're doing a lot more than they actually are. Exactly. But for the most part, like I've seen companies that are in insanely competitive markets in a very competitive niche, and they didn't do any SEO, but they had like 400 5-star reviews and like 5-star reviews, and their competitors all had like 80. And they were number 1 on Google, and this was in like New York City, Times Square. Wow. Like this is a huge market. So I think that's one thing that people maybe don't necessarily realize is that Google, the way SEO works, and I used to do SEO a little bit back. Oh, you did? Yeah. Okay. So the biggest thing that reviews do is obviously it helps with it just helps with authority, and that's what Google looks at when they figure out where to rank you. Obviously, there's other stuff that you do that tells Google what pages you rank for, but the domain authority is one of the biggest ones as far as getting those organic clients. Because I love paid ads as much as the next guy. But you can get number 1 on Google, and you get a few people calling you every month saying, "Hey, I want solar." That's probably going to be not going to be much better than that. Regarding the social media and the content side, I think it's important for people to produce content, because I think solar does kind of have like a bad rep when it comes to a lot of people think solar is a scam, and we all obviously know that that's not true, but that's just kind of something that we're battling with. And it's very important for us in our industry to educate people more about solar, about how it works, about why it's great, about how it can really save people money. So regarding that, what type of what platform would you recommend people produce content for?
I mean, obviously Facebook, because it's cheap. It's not too complicated. I mean, there's courses out there that everyone knows that you can buy and learn. But now it is getting a little saturated. When I first started marketing on Facebook, I could put a Facebook ad there and leave it on there for 3 weeks and generate leads consistently. But now with so many other solar marketers out there, it's pretty competitive. You have to switch up your creative a lot. So I think the the platform that everyone should probably look into is YouTube and Google, maybe even Spotify or Waze. I think YouTube is probably a great one. Pre-roll ads, you know, if someone types in, you know, how does solar work, you know, your ad is going to be put maybe in the middle of the video, you know, maybe you talking about solar on the roof. So that's something I think a lot of people should probably transition into. I'm learning it now, so I'm going to start transitioning probably about 30% of my ad spend on that. I know solar exclusive kind of transition to that as well, but it's not really a saturated market anymore. But I would just recommend, I mean, you could YouTube course on how to advertise pretty easily. There's a lot of courses out there. You just really got to be, you know, committed to the process of learning it.
For sure, yeah. Obviously the reason everyone uses Facebook is because it's the most profitable, and it's probably the easiest to do at scale for sure for us marketing guys. But YouTube, I've only done small tests, and it's something I need to get more into. But from what I hear, the YouTube, the results that people are able to get are pretty great. I mean, they're almost getting to a point where they're going to start competing with Facebook from a return on investment standpoint. And I think that is important because it's also a higher quality lead, where if they watch an entire video or they watch your ad and they click it, and they're going to be a little bit more educated rather than people that are just scrolling through a Facebook feed. Because the thing about Facebook feeds is no one really reads the entire thing. No, they just skim and they press buttons, and I don't really. I never do that myself. But
did I fill out this form? I don't remember filling out a form. Who is this?
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I get that all the time. But I think the true thing is like your pitch for Facebook ads versus Google is going to be completely different.
Completely different.
You know, on Facebook, you know, your ad pops up out of nowhere. They don't really know who the company name is. They just read that headline and maybe a little bit of the ad copy. So you really just got to mention the ad copy, you know, versus Google. I got 50, you know, reviews and mention your name. So it's a totally different opening you're setting up.
Yeah, and the thing about Google too is Google is where people go to look for something. So if you're number one, more expensive for that reason, you're also, in my opinion or my experience, you're probably a little bit more likely to get some price shoppers as well, where they're going to click all the 5 companies, try to get a quote. But the good thing about Google is you're getting those people that kind of want to buy now.
Exactly.
And that's insanely valuable, and that's obviously why Google charges a little bit more for clicks than Facebook would. Cool. So I'm always, one of the things that I do, I'm a little bit different. I'm a little bit different than most marketing guys in a lot of ways. But like one of the things is that I always tell people is like Facebook ads really aren't all that valuable, because you can find any Facebook ads that are being run by anybody. You can copy and paste. You can take their imagery. You can play around with targeting a little bit. I mean, for the most part, the Facebook ads are one of the easiest parts of the marketing process. And the real value and the real gold is having the systems for the follow-up. So having the follow-up and the nurturing to connect the dots and turn leads into appointments and close deals. Because it just lead is worthless, as we both know. I mean, and I'm sure we both even if you're a great marketer, if you work with someone who doesn't have the appointment setting process set up properly, you're going to have a bad time. It's going to be very hard to be profitable. So my question for you is, let's talk about the follow-up process and lead nurturing. Can you tell me a little bit about what your process looks like, and do you have any specific insights that you've kind of learned over the years?
Yeah, so usually what I do, my most successful company that I integrate with, you know, they have 2 appointment settlers. They're great over the phone. We send initial text, but before that initial text, you know, we send them to a landing page, which they have an option to book a phone call with an appointment settler, and then from that it has text reminders, you know, so the appointment settler doesn't get ghosted on the call. If the lead goes to the landing page, doesn't schedule the phone call, we send them about 7 text messages in about 9 days with a calendar link. Obviously, we call, you know, within 30 minutes if they don't click that calendar link. But the software I use is Go High Level, which I'm assuming you probably have too. Do you have Go High Level as well?
Yes, I do. It's
From
a marketing perspective, it's one of the best softwares ever.
Yeah, super easy now to use. I got it 9 months ago. Didn't know what the heck I was doing. I actually got it from a guy named David Murillo. which now he's kind of selling his services through High Level. And it was a long learning curve. Now it's super easy. A lot of the solar guys now, they can get High Level and they have a solar snapshot with all the campaigns and their preloaded landing pages as well. So it's going to become user friendly for a lot of people. But I remember talking to Sean Clark, the founder, 9 months ago, and he's helped me out with the problem. So there's definitely a lot of value there. But if you don't have systems in place and you're running lead forms, which is the name, number, zip code, and you get 7 leads a day, and you don't have systems in place, you're just going to get burnt out, and then you're just going to go ahead and buy appointments or come to me or you or someone else in the solar marketing niche to help them out with. So I'd say have your systems in place, go High Level if you can afford it, and just automate everything, because you're just going to get overwhelmed. You're getting 6 or 7 leads a day.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what people don't realize is like 6 or 7 leads, like, oh yeah, I can handle 6 or 7 leads. But the problem isn't in the first day. It's a month later when you have a cold stage in your pipeline. That cold stage has 150 people that you really want to check up on, but you don't have the systems in place to handle that. And so it's definitely, I definitely think having the systems and the structure in place is super important. So you mentioned, I think you said 7 text messages in 9 days or something like that. How many phone call attempts do you typically make or recommend that?
Well, the appointment sellers that I work with, it's a partnership. He's actually a killer on the phones. So his technique, which I think there's 3 techniques that everyone kind of falls into. It's, you call them until, what the hell do you want? But he's so convinced that, the company that he works for has a good offer.
Yeah.
So that kind of tells the lead that, they're with a good company, they have a good offer. So he either gets, a hard no or, yes. Or the other one where an appointment seller tells you all the details up front, what utility company you're with, how much is your bill, tells you estimated tax credit, tells them about the Google reviews, and then there's another appointment seller that will call, doesn't leave a voicemail, and then texts and be like, hey, I just called you fill out a form on Facebook. So I think those 3 strategies in appointment selling works out really, really well. Those are the most successful techniques that I've kind of seen. So I know I kind of went off topic there, but
it's all good. That was actually my next question, I think, was about appointment setting. So what would you, if you were talking to someone who didn't necessarily have their own appointment setter, they were probably, if they're getting online leads for the first time and they have to call them themselves, what kind of advice or tips or kind of mindset recommendations would you have for someone like that?
Don't sound like a robot. Be a person first. Stop selling. And kind of have pauses and don't speak so fast over the phone. Just have a real conversation. Those are, like I said, I'm sure you talking to, sales reps over the phone, done demos. I guarantee every time you close a deal, you're not actually selling. You're just giving them valuable information. So I just say, just be yourself. Don't kind of shoot yourself in the foot and following exact script, but just really give them valuable, information for what they really need. And you should be successful, but really mention the ad copy as well, because again, if you're running Facebook ads for the first time, they might not even know what company, you're with or what, the community page means. As long as you just tell them about that offer on the headline and kind of get them hooked, like, this is a $1,000 offer. I'm only having 7 spots left. And a really good tactic too is, if you have a lot of installs around that particular area, like actually we just did an install about 2 miles away, I can give them your information, we can give you a call and let you know how the experience was. So that's a really powerful technique, and you can kind of make your last installs your most powerful marketing tactics as well. And you could probably incentivize that last install with maybe a little bit of a cash rebate or a gift card. But That's probably the best way to go about it.
Yeah, once again, it goes back to building that credibility that you were talking about with Google reviews initially, is making sure that they know that you're not just some random like you actually have experience and there's people that they are in their region that you can vouch for you, and that is super powerful. Let me ask you about this. What do you think about solar reps who, when they get the address, or the lead submits a Facebook form and they have their address and they go and actually knock on that door? I've talked to reps that have done that, and they've gone.
Really?
They've driven. I've talked to people that have driven like 30 minutes to go knock on doors.
Any horror stories or?
No horror. They've it's worked well. But so I guess my question for you that is: have you ever heard of that, or have you ever worked with anyone that?
I had one guy. I think it was in the Panhandle that was talking about it. I remember talking to him about like 6 or 7 months ago, but I never heard from him since. So I don't know anyone that did that. But then again, lead nurturing isn't the easiest thing. So I feel like some people go to a totally different business niche and kind of fade off. So
that's funny though. You never heard from a kid. So hopefully he didn't like get abducted or anything by the door he would have knocked, or someone there was.
Yeah, I don't know. It could have been
That's funny.
A kind of country type of a neighborhood.
Yeah, it's well, let's just hope it just didn't work and he's doing well, doing something else now. With lead nurturing, what is your opinion on voicemails? Do you leave voicemails, or do you recommend that people leave voicemails? And if you do, how often? Because like one of the things that I think I always tell people is, people call and they leave a voicemail on the first call. I think a lot of people that are new to online leads, they think that they're much more motivated than they actually are. And they call, leave a voicemail, and then they don't hear back for a day or two, and they say, oh, these leads suck, and they just throw that lead away. And so I think voicemails do have a part, but I think they are very, I think their use should be very limited. Can you tell me, what do you think about voicemails?
I'm 33. I've been in sales for right about 8 years through numerous organizations. But me and you talk to a lot of gentlemen that have a lot of sales experience, and what I hear all the time is, just call, don't leave a voicemail, and text. And that's been working out well for a lot of people. I don't personally do them. I do have a roofing client that I do that with. But actually do not leave voicemails. Some people might disagree with me, but a lot of people that I work with saying, well, I'll actually save your number, and then it's more or less like a tag to not pick up again.
Yeah.
So you're kind of explaining how you things could change. You never know. But obviously text messages work.
Yeah. I
think around 90% open rate. So if you're not texting, you're definitely losing out. I think everyone can agree on that, but I personally don't use it. So
cool. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone out there that's under using voicemail. I think if anything, there's only people that are overusing voicemail. I think it may be a role, especially when leads are cold. Like, it doesn't hurt if you can do it at scale. It's similar. Okay, now let's talk about what about email? How do you see any results with emails? Because I personally don't. And I don't know if it's just my emails are terrible. I don't know if it's just too much of a pain to figure out how to get deliverability to work. What is your opinion on sending emails in the nurture process?
I used to do emails with MailChimp when I first got programmed with Bill Murphy. The open rates are around like 20%. I think maybe with the older demographics, the 40 and above, they're checking their email a lot. But other than that, maybe a little bit more call to action, put another offer in there. But I personally do not use emails with any of my clients. So other than that, it's just text message, and then just really getting to the closest to the sales possible with the calendar links and the landing page. Because I think the key is, they're filling out all this information, they're going through the survey. If you can just get that landing page and maybe put a little incentive to book that phone call with you, and just get that all out of the way at once, instead of just sitting in the emails, calling 7 times, just make it as simple as possible for them to even have a live transfer. have a sales rep ready, with Zoom, like, hey, just send me your power bill. Give me about 20 minutes. I'll get it designed on Solo. I know there's some guys doing that they're having some success, but yeah, I don't really think emails are. I think they're a thing of the past. I'm pretty sure Gary Vee would say the same thing. I'm sure you follow that guy.
Yeah, well, what's Gary Vee's always talking about attention, right? Like, where's the best valued attention? And email is not it, because I got 7,000 emails a day from companies that I don't even look at it. I don't even read the headline at times. I probably have filters in my email inbox that get rid of them, and that's people are going to have that set up for our emails as well. Even though they did opt in, but emails, in my opinion, are definitely a thing of the past. I think it's rare that I even get a reply to an email. I'd be happy if I got replies that just said, "Leave me alone." Like
I'm like, oh my god, you read my email.
At least my emails worked, but like I said, it's not. It's definitely not something that I recommend anyone spends any time working on. More of
unless you want to, and you got SOPs and.
If you could,
you got nothing else to do and you're quarantined.
If you're the best copywriter,
go ahead.
The best copywriter in the world, and even who knows? That'd be a really good challenge that it would take some skill to master. All right, well, I guess that's really kind of all. Typically, I try to keep this like 30 minutes, and we're right about that time. Thank you so much for obviously sharing some insights and some wisdom with the handful of people that will end up watching this video. Can you just real quick before we leave, would you, how would people be able to get a hold of you or your company if they wanted to ask you any more questions?
They could just message me on the Facebook Messenger, go to my website, soulcertain.com. But yeah, I'm really just kind of focusing on doing revenue share for the clients, really creating that partnership. Because obviously me and that, there's a lot of scammers out there. So you gotta have just a marketer on your side and on the payrolls, I think is the future. So
and my model is actually very similar, I assume.
Is it?
Revenue share. Yeah, and so the great thing is like we talked to so many people, and when I came to the solar industry, it was like all these people had been burned. And it doesn't make sense.
Very hard to sell.
It doesn't make sense because it should be an easy sell. Because if you look at it, leads are cheap, percentages are good. The commission for those conversions is much higher than other industries, and yet everyone was skeptical about working with a marketer because so many people have taken advantage of the fact that it's kind of a great industry to be in. And so that's the reason that I ended up on a model that's similar to yours. It sounds like, but cool, man. Well, I appreciate your time. Like I said, it was great to chat with you. I know this was our first talk. We'll have to do one of these one of the time.
Yeah, man.
We're not on the internet. But I just want to say thank you again, and I hope that everyone learned something. And I don't know, I guess real quick, just to make sure that we don't have any messages or questions or anything. I don't believe so. But thank you again, Matt, and we'll talk again soon.
All right. See you, man.
All right. Take care.
Take care.